Hey, what's going on, everybody? Andrew here, back for our build review show. It is Monday, January 20th of 2025, and on this show, we'll bring users builds up live on stream, giving them personalized feedback and advice about things I think that they can do differently in their builds to help improve their post-contest sim ROIs and help them to build and submit stronger lineups into their contests. So we do this show twice a week. We do this show on Mondays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern. If you ever want to get signed up for a show, all you need to do is drop your DK username in the Office Hours channel. Let me know what sport and slate you want me to review, and I will add you to the list for the next show. So with that said, we do have 3 people signed up today. Should be a fun one. Starting to look at some more alternate sport types here. Looking at NHL, looking at PGA, which is a little bit of a departure from things that we normally look at, but it is fun to explore some of these other sports as well. So why don't we get SaberSim up here? And our first user up is going to be Raf, and we are going to be looking at last Thursday's NHL main slate. So Raf asked me to check out what they did on this slate here. So we're going to start in the contest tab as per usual. And what do we see here? So we see that he's built there's a flagship single entry, a QJ dime, and even a build one. So all of these are, you can see, look at the source column here and notice that they're all going to different contests. So it seems like some of his bigger contests, as far as, prize pool go here, all came from like the checks, and then some smaller prize pool 150 max, which is like the MME, and then some single entries. So definitely mixing things up here. We're going to be focusing on these like 50 lineups that came from this checks build, since, highest entry fees, most financial investment there. So probably good idea to stick with those. Let's just do the 10 lineups from the $5. I think it'll be fine. So let's hop over to users. Raf entered 10 lineups. So we're going to go greater than or equal to 10. Sort by sim ROI. All right. So what do we see? So 11.7% positive sim ROI. Now, they're definitely, it's honestly really interesting to look at. The sim ROIs here, jump really fast, and conversely, inversely, go down really fast, right? Like highest is 59%. Okay, then from 59%, it goes quickly down to 25, and then from 25 quickly goes down to 10% range, and then all of a sudden, there are only, in this contest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 persons who are positive sim ROI in this contest. Now, I think the reason for that is mostly because this contest only has, 3,567 entries, and then the max is, 107. So I don't think it takes very many people to max out this contest. If we just did the math, it's like 3, 5, 6, 7. Here, 33 people could effectively max out this contest, right? So I think that's something that you'll, see sometimes. I think it's okay, just in general, to enter less than the max in these type of contests. And, you can still grade out well, right? I mean, Crafty Lefty here, 30%, Sim ROI, only 36 entries, Slewfoot, 40 entries, positive 15%. So there's nothing wrong with entering less than the max. I'm totally okay with Raf entering 10 here. And I'm not even sure if I would max it out, unless you literally have nothing else to play, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna max it out because my bankroll's so big that that I need to like get as much action down as I can, right? So other than that, I think it's totally fine to enter less than the max. All right. So with that said, what do we see here? Okay. So I'm looking at RAF here. So the most interesting data point to me, which I don't know what to make of this exactly, is that RAF's 99th percent profit is $543. And a lot of the sim ROIers above him, theirs is a lot higher. But then they also have a lot more entries too, right? So it makes this statistic a little hard to get something from. But I do think there's still something here, right? Because even this person, 14 entries, so only 4 more, 2% ROI, so lower than RAF's like 11, but they have like 806, 99% profit. So I don't know if these like scale perfectly. I mean, Cheese is good, 20 entries, so that's like double, but then their Sim 99th is like almost 3x. So like, what is this telling me? I think like where it's like most interesting, right, is like all these people above RAF, like their Sim 99 profits are all like 4K and above, but they also have like 4x, 3 to 4x as many entries as he does. So I'm not sure, but this is something I would probably be tracking, right? It's like, hey, if I look at my contests every day, like, is my Sim 99th profit always a little low? And then what can I do about that, right? So I'm not sure if this is like actually a problem or not, but it is something I would be keeping my eye on, right? Because it's possible maybe like your lineups don't have enough upside. Maybe they're like a little bit too chalky. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I would be concerned with. So either way, from what I see, that's the biggest thing to keep your eye on going forward. Let's go into the build where these lineups came from. All right, build is loading. So what do we see? 5K lineups, 0 minimum, 50K max, 6/8 sliders, 1 rule. It's an advanced stacking rule. Greater than or equal to 3, I think it's centers or wings. No goalie from the same team. Must be on even strength line of 1 or 2. And then nothing on the other side. Okay. It's fine to have some stacking rules for NHL. No worries there. What else do we see? What about projection adjustments? Pretty standard with projections. No major changes there. No min or max exposures. Nothing in team stacks. Nothing in games. And then just limiting stack types to 4 3s, 5 2s, and 5 stacks. So really the only big change here is like the stack exposure adjustments and the stacking rule, which are like fine. Unique rank, ROI, 5 uniques. So getting to a high number of uniques here, which is okay. All right. So as far as the build goes, the build feels pretty hands-off. Things to think about, things to pay attention to going forward. If your lineups don't have enough upside, it could be 1 to 2 things that I would probably suggest. Number 1 would be upping sim diversity even higher to like 9. The other would be maybe lowering uniques to not be so spread out. Somebody that like caught my attention in the post contest sim was obviously like Giant Squid, like shocker. But one thing I noticed with his lineups when I was just like looking at a glance, you see this contest, right? It's 5K to first. And then when we go back, and we look at, high sim ROI lineups, right? Squid's like 25%, which is like top 4. His sim 99th profit is actually a lot higher than the first place prize. And people ask from time to time, like, well, why is that? Well, it's because you could win more than first place, right? You can win first, second, third, in the same contest, right? So my guess is like he's probably using a lower number of, min uniques, if at all. He's using 1, and it's leading, and his lineups are like ultra correlated, probably like highly leveraged. And when he's right, he's able to win not only first place in the contest, but like other top 10 positions that lead to him having nights where, he is winning like multiple spots in the top 10, which leads to the higher than first place sim 99th profit. And he's the only person in the 6K range, and nobody's like even, within like, I see like 5,500. So that's something I'm thinking maybe could help, is lowering min uniques, higher sim diversity. So consider those things. Track this. I would definitely track like, hey, is my sim 99 profit always low? Go look at other contests where you max out, right? Go look at the 20 maxes. Go look at the 150 max. Is it only because of 10 entries? I'm not sure, right? So that is the biggest thing I see here. And it just could indicate something that, your lineups don't have enough upside, right? And that could be a number of things. So spend some time looking at other contests, other slates you've played, and see if you can come up with like a conclusion as to what's going on there. All right. Good stuff there. I'm hoping that'll be helpful for Raf here. And next person up, actually, we're going to be reviewing the same slate here, which is cool. Hopefully we can maybe review the same contest, maybe not. But Summy is going to be up here, and we're going to be reviewing the same Thursday NHL main. So why don't we get this loaded up? And we will jump right in. All right, cool. So going to go to the contest tab. All right, let this load. And we see good contest selection, single entry, 3 max, low stakes. We love that, right? Even a 5 max here, perfect. Good contest to play. So we will look at the hip check since they have 20 entries in that one. And let's close these other tabs, go over to users. All right, Summy, 20%. I'm sorry, 20 entries. Let's put these columns back to default. All right, so this is good, right? 43.9% sim ROI. That's a really good number here. This contest has higher sim ROIs than the other contests we looked at. And why is that, right? Typically, in my opinion, it's probably because there's only 20 entry max. This contest has closer to 6K entries, so it takes like, closer to like 300 people to max it as opposed to 33, right? So not as tough of a contest, and it is low stakes. So higher sim ROIs end up being achievable here. 43% is a great number. It puts him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th on the list. So top 10 sim ROI in this contest. That's exactly where you want to be here. So I don't think that's bad at all. Sim 99 profit, right in line with a lot of the other users here. So that 334 number is really good. Nice sim average score number. This looks great, right? I don't think we're going to learn a ton else here. So just one thing to note, in general, NHL is a sport where late swapping is less important, right? There can be line changes. Players can, be moved around sometimes in later games. So a little more common not to see a late swap build here, but just, for everybody playing NHL, keep your eye out, look in the NHL lineup alert channel and, make sure that you're not missing anything from time to time. Right. So that could definitely be good. A lot of the Discord users are pretty good at like mentioning that stuff as well. So always appreciate them, but small note there. Looks like all these lineups came from the same build. This build was done 5 minutes prior to lock. So that's good. Getting all those updates and everything in before running their final, and obviously have a process that allows them to run it in a very short amount of time. All right, so what do we see here? It looks like a couple adjustments to projections. I don't know where the SS projection column is. Let's find it. Oops, let's put that back. Small adjustments to projections. These are good, right? I don't know what somebody's doing here. But my guess is they're adding value somehow. We see some small projection adjustments, but it's not like 0.01 points, right? It's a half a point here, 0.6 points there, 0.6 points there, right? So somehow, some way, they're adding value here to skaters, which I think is good, right? We see, I don't know, maybe like 10 to 20 adjustments, maybe a little more. But the important thing here, right, is like they're not like tanking projections. We're not seeing like 5-point increases or 4-point decreases. Like some small adjustments, but plenty. And if these are coming from a place of like good edge, well then when you start stacking these on top of each other, the adjustments start to compound, and it leads to overall you having edge over the field. So I really like the projection adjustments. I think they're like the right size, and it seems like they're pretty frequent here. So just be objective in your analysis of those. But overall, I think they're good. And I'm just looking at a couple of these to see how they grade it out. And you could do this, right? Like you could track this. Like, okay, every person I come in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up these 3 columns: projection, my projection, which is my adjustment, and then actual. And then I'm just going to see, hey, did I come in? Was I directionally correct with the adjustment I made? And then you could track this like daily, right? Be like, okay, today I had, 10 out of 14 adjustments correct. That's like over, what is that? Like 5 out of 7, which is like pretty good. It's, way over half. So that would be like a good indication, right? So something you could do maybe is track your changes here. Should be pretty easy to just line up these 3 columns and go down the list. Excuse me. All right. So what else do we see here? So one thing I'm noticing just right off the bat here is, Raf's lineups, even though it was like a different contest, whatever, right? Same average score was like 89 something. Sammy, when we looked at his, they were 95. Biggest difference I see here is that Raf had a 0 min salary and Sammy has a 49K minimum, right? So I'm like almost positive 49K is, we can just check. Okay, so 49K is the default, right? So seems like the minimum here, is playing a factor. I would, we're working on Sammy, right? So I don't want to like go back and forth too much, but I would probably recommend not lowering it. Seems to have like an impact here. And maybe if you want to lower it like a couple thousand, but maybe not lowering it like all the way to 0. All right. So far, so good. Definitely seeing some interesting things here, which are always nice. All right. So we see a couple rules. Don't use skaters against opposing goalies is like a default rule. It's cool. And then we have a stacking rule here, which says stack 3 centers or wings must be on the same even strength line, must be on EV1. So another even strength stacking rule here, which is totally fine. So rules look good. We go to the lineups using autofill, unique rank, got 1 filter on. Like a projection floor. This again could be part of why they were getting like 95 same average score lineup. So this like a nice little nugget, maybe using something like that to help them out. And then it looks like they're using a custom metric here. I'm not gonna go into the custom metric. I'm gonna leave that one to them. And but But I think that's cool, right? If you guys are adding value by building your own metrics, that's awesome, right? So if based on what I'm seeing in flashback, like, hey, your metrics probably fine, right? If you weren't grading out well, then I would say, hey, you might want to like look at this metric and, do some like trial and error, comparing it to like ROI versus your custom across different contests or things like that. But if your sim ROIs are good and you like your custom metric, I would keep rolling with it. So I'm assuming, like somebody looks like he's adding value a couple places, right? Custom metrics, some projection adjustments, stacking rule, and all those things, come together and end up leading to a high sim ROI set of lineups. So really like what I'm seeing here. Wouldn't suggest deviating from this at all. We do see 5 mini uniques here again. So maybe that tells us that, the mini uniques thing with Raf earlier is, unrelated to his sim 99 profit. Not sure, but just things I'm seeing and comparing since we're looking at the same slate here. So overall, really good job, Summy. I really wouldn't deviate from what you're doing. I think you're doing a lot of good things here. So I would say keep going, continue doing what you're doing. All right. Good stuff there. These NHL reviews have been fun so far. So hope you guys are enjoying them. Last one up today, it's going to be PGA. We're going to be looking at Sammy's lineups from this last week's PGA full tournament. So this one actually started on the same day, 16th. And we're going to go to golf. We're going to go to PGA. And we're going to get Sabersom up on screen. All right. So let's go to the contest tab. So Sammy, known for, entering just like one small contest at a time while he like dials in his process for that sport and then kind of increases from there. So it's early in the golf year. Totally cool to be working on your process and then cranking it up as you go along. So I like that. Let's jump in this contest. Jump over to users, 20 lineups, sort by sim ROI. All right. So 28% sim ROI. If I were to like give a number, I'd say, hey, if you're like over 30%, you're good. And 28.89 is like literally right on the cusp of that. So I wouldn't be worried about it too much. High average salary, 49.8, one average dupe. I mean, that happens. See some other users with 1 as well. So 1 or 0. As long as you're not at like 5 or something, I think it's fine. What else do we see? 513 sim average score seems fine. There's like a big range here, right? 507, 508, 514, 520. So right in like the middle of the pack there. I think that these lineups are good. And it looks like these came from build 1. So we'll jump over to build 1. All right. So what do we see here? Interesting. So something I find interesting, which I'm not going to say don't do it since he's grading out well, but I don't personally think you need to lower max salary for a large tournament like this with a cut. What is the point of lowering max, right? So typically the point of lowering maximum is to help with duplication, right? Seems like even though, Sammy lowered the max from 50K to 49.7, still had an average dupe of 1, right? So some of that creates a little bit of variance. But when you see that not a lot of people are duping, when the average dupes is 0, average dupes is 1, typically means that you don't need to worry about duplication as much in this size contest, right? So I would just leave this at 50K. Might help your sim average score a little bit. And I don't think you need to do this. So if you want to do it, go for it. You're grading out fine doing it, but I don't think it's necessary, right? All right. We have a projection filter just to show players who are projected. Seems fine. There's a number of rules here, but it looks like only one of them is active. And it says use 6 golfers whose make cut percent is greater than X and top 20 greater than Y, which is okay. If you want to use like the detailed stats to effectively narrow your player pool. Like that's totally fine, right? What he's doing is he's using the sim data to curate his player pool. And we always say that, curating your player pool is a totally fine thing to do. So using sim data to do that, I don't have a problem with it at all. And it seems to be working out fine. All right. What else we got here? 500 lineups, unique rank, direct fill, 3 uniques, saber score. So using direct fill, it makes sense. You only have one contest, easy to do it this way. Using 3 uniques, probably using this compact mode to like look at some of these metrics and stuff that they have. So I think this is fine. Seems like a good process using average projection, aggregate metric. I really like this, right? So I would say keep doing what you're doing, Sammy. If you've been looking to dial in your process and start playing more contests as you see fit, I think you're on the right path here. So again, really, really good stuff here, and I don't want them to deviate too much from what they're doing. All right, Raf said in regards to earlier, so I'll compare that to the other 220 maxes in there and see what I come up with. Thanks. Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, I think we're all caught up here. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate everybody who signed up for the show. Hope this was helpful for you. And as a reminder, our next show will be on Friday of this week, 5 p.m. Eastern. If you want to sign up throughout the week here, let me know your DK username. Let me know what sport and slate you want me to review. And I'll add you to the list for the next show. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Until tomorrow, take care. Good luck. Thanks. Bye.